Hello and welcome to another episode of Elements, or whatever we're calling it. My name is Solace of Arcanus Gaming, and today we will be continuing on with the Earth section of the park. Firstly, I just want to say very sorry that it's taken so long to get this video out. I was kind of at a creative slump on this park. I've been throwing out hundreds of little tiny bonsai parks, as I like to call them, like one ride, one flat ride, couple of shops, just to try out some themes, try out all the different parts and the in the build menus and so on, and see if we can create something a bit more unique than the stuff that I've been doing so far. And in the process, totally lost my way with this park. Anyway, so I've kind of come back to it, hoping to just spark some intrigue. You will notice I'm being very lazy in decorating this ride. I mean, it is a forest dragon, so it's flying through the forest, that makes sense, but just dumping down a load of trees and a very few amount of bushes, and that's about it. Seems a little lackadaisical to me. I may well come back and decorate this ride a bit more, but it is a casual coaster. I've got an idea for two other coasters in this section that are going to be much more aggressive, much more fun, and will lend themselves to more dominant theming than just whacking down a ton of trees, as we're seeing right now. So yeah, hopefully we'll be starting on those coasters in the next episode, is my aim. There's loads of space to fill in between here and where I want to put them, and back to the main entrance, where I'm not sure whether any of that's going to play out well. We might just monorail everyone over and chuck up some facades so we can cheat. It'll look awful from above, though. I really don't know. Anyway, so yeah, chucking down bushes. I'm sure you guys have seen this in tons of videos, but remember to submerge them a little, like we're doing with this one. It allows much easier control with the terrain, for one thing, and it also allows you to, as you continue to submerge them, let the foliage sort of thin out, so you can get these more natural edges to the areas of the foliage. Again, I've been very lazy in this section, so there's very little of it here, but you'll notice later on, for some reason I did it off camera, but I'm going to decorate the sort of little park that we've left out the front of this building, and do a much better job with the foliage on that. Anyway, you'll briefly notice that I've chucked some facades on the back wall here. I'm going to start building the coaster station. It's going to be in a very similar style to the Elven building. The idea is that it's sort of a little manor area or something, and you're getting to come in and ride the family dragon, because obviously they own a family dragon. Yeah, again, bit lax with the details on this one. I didn't want the building to outshine the entrance, but at the same time, I think it could do with a bit more. I also forgot to put in a floor, and getting it in now is going to be a nightmare. It's literally just occurred to me, so never mind. We are about to put in the world's most useless priority queue. Wait for it. Here it comes. This one I particularly liked, because I don't know if it'll actually save you any time, because it's so much narrower, so there'll be less people on it, etc. And in the end, all it does is give you an extra couple of yards. But it does, it does let you get to the front of the queue quicker when I remember to reopen the information stand. Anyway, we're just connecting up all the paths here. My intent here was to chuck in a little sort of crafted garden with some topiaries and such around here as sort of the rear area of the manor. You'll notice I haven't detailed the back of the entrance building that we did last episode at all. That was sort of intended. I quite like the idea that a lot of the guys building the parks, like Silvarett and CTop and stuff like that, have been playing with this semi-realism thing. I mean, Silvarett does a lot of realism, full respect for that. But they use this thing where they sort of build the parks like they would be in real life, even though you might not be able to afford them, or they're a bit, obviously the concept wouldn't sell or whatever. Anyway, they do this with building the fronts of the building very detailed, and the rears of the building as these sort of very bland grey boxes with air conditioning units and evacuation points and stuff, because that's how it would be in real life, the backstage areas as it's known apparently. Now, I know very little about theme parks or coasters. I just loved building them from Roller Coaster Tycoon 1. Actually, no, from Theme Park. That was my first coaster sim. Remember to put salt on the fries so that they have to go and get drinks. Anyway, so I love the concept of that, and I want to play around with it more, but maybe not in this park. This park is an absolutely fantastical park with no realism whatsoever, like the bare minimum of realism. In hindsight, because I just leapt onto this as it launched, it would have been nicer to do something a bit more real or a bit more freeform, because I feel a bit restricted by the areas I've decided to work on here. And that's why I think I may do another series alongside this. The videos will be slow. I do have a full-time job, so but I may do one of just a sort of naturally evolving part, because I've had a lot of fun doing that off camera, and it might be nice to put it on camera. Anyway, we went for some slightly more unique, I should talk about this, shouldn't I? Slightly more unique roofing on this. Didn't really work, but I like the idea, and I think I might come to doing some custom roofs with this sort of double-tiered idea. Looks quite nice, where they both sort of come out of the same original angle, but then you end up with a split roof and a sort of semi-gable at the top as a result. Might do some custom tile sets for that, and then be able to just dump them down quickly on camera. Anyway, the idea was, again, roofs make square buildings interesting, and this one, I didn't want to do multiple buildings stacked on top of each other, so it's going to be a bit more square. So getting some interesting roofs in will be quite a nice touch. A couple of archways on the way in to break up the facade a bit. We're chucking in this crafted garden idea I had. Again, I was a bit lazy with this. I'm really sorry about that. As I said, this park has just sort of drained me a bit, and coming back to it is always very intimidating, because I've got great plans for it, and they're really hard to implement them, I have discovered. Anyway, we're looking for a statue here. They're all terrible, basically. Like, they're kind of cutesy and a bit Disney, but they wouldn't fit here. I was going to try and get some custom supports underneath the station, but then I realised that that would take days, if not years, if I did it to the level I wanted to do it, so we just don't bother with any of that. Getting down the basic beaming, feels kind of like a Star Trek reference, but it's not. So just, yeah, chucking down beams, break up the lines a bit, add a bit of verticality. Sounds like I know what I'm talking about, doesn't it? Yeah, I don't. This is very important, though, what we're doing here. This is always a good look to a building. If you don't chuck edges on the roofs, things look really, really tacky. Everything needs to overhang ever so slightly. And it gives you a chance to sort of experiment a bit more with shapes of roofing and such. As you can tell, I gave up on that gable almost immediately after looking at some pieces that might have worked if I'd been a bit more patient with it. But I just really want to get through to the more exciting stuff like building the coasters, and not the family coasters like this. And I keep getting bogged down in buildings. Like, maybe that's it. Maybe I should just build more buildings. Anyway, oh look. It's the same windows as before. Exactly the same ones. So yeah, we'll check a couple of supports back here, because for some reason they're not there on the station. Oh yeah, because I built the building out the back to encompass the ride. Note the lack of floor out there. That's going to be a real pain. Thought we'd wall off some of these supports, because it's like a little forest of supports, and I don't know. The colour on them is pretty disgusting, and every colour I tried looked pretty disgusting, so never mind. So yeah, get down the old supports here. The ride itself, by the way, I've smoothed it out, pulled a few things around here. All the basic curves and elements are still there from when we built it. There's no change to the main design whatsoever. I desperately tried to make the lift hill actually smooth. Yeah, that's not going to happen on that terrain. No way. I need to start again from scratch, so we're not going to bother with that. This was a prototype coaster, and it turned out alright. Like, it's kind of pleasant to ride. I've got much grander plans for the next two. They won't be dueling coasters. Oh look, more ivy. But they will interact with each other a lot, and I'm hoping using clever block sectioning, we'll be able to get lots of trains going around both coasters. So coincidentally, they might look like they're dueling, just because they'll sort of pass by every now and then, and people go, ooh, scary, there goes one. So yeah, we didn't want to go hell for leather with the ivy this time, because it takes forever, and actually looking at the first building, it's a bit oversaturated with just that one ivy colour, so we might go back and deal with that. Now, I wanted to try and get some sort of beaming on this roof, and I've popped this down. Didn't bother doing the rest of the roof, because I want to sit with it for a while. I want to see how it looks when I next load the park up and start working on other areas and stuff. And if it fits, if it's sort of sticking, then we'll do the rest of the roof. At the moment, I think I like it. Yeah, because there's a really nice gold one to stick on top of buildings that we can use in some of the other areas, but probably in the fire area, if we pull off the architectural style I'm going for. But here in Earth, everything's meant to be a bit more natural, so a wood sort of roof decoration seemed a bit more pleasant. Note the green's slightly different. The wall colour's the same, but the greens are different. I'd love to say that was intentional, but actually I just kept doing that. Every time I build a new building, I was like, I'll make it green roofed, excellent. And then roofed. I've really got to stop that. But then when I came back to it to amend it, I've just thought, actually, no, the different green looks quite nice. Suddenly realised that my staff probably weren't doing their job because we're getting a lot of complaints about litter, which is strange because there's a lot of janitors there. Although I think off camera I discovered they'd all quit. So I'm promoting everybody, paying them 3 times as much as they're deserving, I think, just to shut them up, and preventing them from creating a union. So, you know, we don't want to strike. None of that actually happens in-game, I just like to think about it. Chuck down some bins. I was going to put bins inside that would work so that people wouldn't walk through it, but wherever I put them, it was obvious that there was a bin there, so we gave up on that. Started moving the pathing out here, because I want to put in a little sort of section of buildings. What a surprise, more buildings. But it just feels so empty over here. It's like, you know, the entrance, which is a horrible behemoth of a building, a long old path, which will also have a monorail, and then this stuff, which at the moment is 2 buildings and a lot of trees. So we want to get a more natural transition. I have no idea how to do that, but part of it will be populating this nearby area with a sort of earthen village. So yeah, trying to work out pricing on the coaster, because I don't know. Although you don't have to worry about cash in this in the sandbox mode, it's still nice to make the coasters with the right price and the rides the right price, because it kind of it's nice to occasionally look down and go, oh, we're making $10,000 by hovering over the unlimited button, none of which matters. And, you know, just know that the park might function. Oh, yeah, these elements I really like. So I built these on day 1 at about hour 2 of release of Planet Coaster. Because I played the Great Tree scenario and was like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that to a whole forest. And I went in and started on the first oak I could find. 4 or 5 hours later of putting small white cubes of light on it, I decided, yeah, we won't do a forest, we'll just do the one. And it's proven very useful in lots of different parks. Anyway, I've chucked down the flat ride, the Enchanted Woods, or whatever the hell it's called there, Magic Twirl, I think. If you want to give it a name, feel free to leave it in the comments. Magic Twirl's a bit pants, so, you know, something amusing is fine, something fitting is fine, nothing sexual, please. Anyway, so we've put down these sort of lit trees around it, because the whole idea is that this is a magic forest. Note the beautifully crafted garden on the left with lots of lovely rock work and stuff. I just wanted to remind myself I could do foliage, because I haven't done it for a while, and I can, so that's good. But done off camera for confidence reasons. So we're going to start on a little section of unnecessary shops and facilities here, because we've definitely got enough, but what else are you going to put them in the buildings, you know what I mean? I can't chuck a flat ride inside this thing. So I like these overhangs. This is something I messed around with on one of my career modes, challenge modes, that's what it's called, yeah. Challenge mode parks, because it's cheap and easy to build interesting looking buildings using basic tile sets without having to overly detail stuff, which costs a bit too much early on in the challenge game, and then later on money becomes irrelevant. It's basically Sandbox but with more weighting. So with this style in mind, we're basically going for traditional sort of rustic village. I'd love to claim that there's an architectural style like Jacobean or something, but I know very little about architecture and have very little inkling to learn anymore. I'd love to claim that I'm going to go out and read loads and do loads of research and look at loads of pictures of buildings and stuff, but I'll probably look at 1 or 2 and go, that's quite nice, or no, I don't like that. So it's kind of like a Disney Main Street thing where you've just got basic buildings that do facilities, and you kind of walk through them going, ooh, this is all nice and themed, but that's about it. Each building is going to be different, he says, wondering whether maybe this one I'll copy because it's quite nice. Don't know. And they're all going to be at weird and wonderful angles and stuff is the hope. There was a crash coming up any second now, or we've just passed it, I can't remember, that meant I had to do all this window, and yeah, we've gone past it because it was that fence that did it. And balcony work again. So I was a bit like when I had to come back to this because the autosave was a long while back. Having to do all of this again put me off this building. And actually looking at it when it's done, I think it's not as bad as I thought it was. It was very basic, like, you know, I've cheaped out on the paneling and stuff. So I've been trying to deal with the people's feet walk through scenery problem that everybody has when you put a floor into a building. And, yeah, I haven't found a solution. So that was that story. Yeah, we got the smoke in the chimney. Haha, has to be done. Because I haven't got a single animatronic anywhere else in this park, I don't think. I'm going to get a bit of foliage on here just to break up the colours a bit. Don't know what I tabbed over to there. Sorry about that. I think there was a stream on in the background. I don't know, but somebody's face popped up. I love these little towers and turrets. I know that they shouldn't be one there. There's no reason that they'd have a turret there. You basically couldn't get to the one on the front right gable whatsoever. It serves no purpose at all. But I like to think of a cat curled up in it in the sunlight or something, you know? Plus, this is pseudo-fantasy. Like, elves might be able to levitate. I don't know. Do you know any elves that can't levitate? Leave a comment below. So we're gonna. I quite like that little beaming there. That's better than some of the other beaming I've done. So we're gonna do lots of this beaming. Yep, because Scotty's too busy to do it for us. It really helps make a building look nice. It really, really does. And I've been very quick and easy with this stuff because I want to do quite a few buildings here. But if you do it to match out with proper architectural styles, you can change a house from a Tudor house to a Roman house just in minutes, you know what I mean, with the good colouring and good beaming. So yeah, check out Silvarett if you want to see some of that stuff. He is absolutely godly at architecture. So yeah, I kind of like putting these little recessed arches in just to break up the wall a bit. I didn't want any more of the windows, basically. I'm kind of getting sick of the windows. I'm going to have to start making my own. That's the trick. So yeah, we're going to put a little surround on whatever shop I put in here. I think it's Mexalente, because everybody loves tacos made in an ancient mansion thing. And the sort of concept here was I wanted to get it low to the ground, so taking out that bit of wood might actually do it. We're going to chuck in some flooring here by doing individual buildings as pieces of, like, just one tile is one building, and it allows you to move them and not be snapped to grid and not be snapped to height boundaries and such, so you can get the flooring a lot more smooth. But this is pretty bad because you also get a lot of what I believe is called Z fighting here, where two surfaces of the same or different textures, I should say, even the same texture but in a slightly different position, start to vibrate because they're occupying the same space or whatever. So yeah, chuck a bit of branding on here. Woo, excelente, awesome. And then we're going to do one more building. I'm really sorry about the colour. It will be changed before the next stream. I guarantee it. It's horrible. I don't know why I picked it. I just sort of picked it and was like, that'll do, and started building it, and then didn't have the inkling to change it, but should have done. So yeah, this is all a waste of time because I want to chuck a building in there. Yep, there we go. Worked that out. So we're going to finish off the beams around here. Just a couple more to bring a bit more life to it. I quite like that little balcony. It's kind of cute. It only took like 10 seconds, so I might have to do that more regularly. So yeah, here we go with the most disgusting colour of building in the world. Watch it happen right there. That's where I made the bad decision. Look at that. Oh man. It's like a 1960s hospital toilet. Oh, yeah, that's horrendous. Or a British Rail waiting station. Yeah, you're probably all too young to remember that, aren't you? So yeah, lots of wood, because wood is what we're going for here. I mean, we've started to bring in some tiles and some stone. I'm using the lime plaster walls, which have got more of a stone bricky texture to them, just to get a bit of difference from the elven stuff we've chucked over there. This is my guess, is this is where all the humans live that I don't know, worship the immortal elves or whatever, and basically act as like vampiric thralls. I don't know. I was trying to go for a really weird roof here, and after a few derivations, we just completely abandoned it because there's better ways to do that, and it's not worth doing it on a building this color, basically. I'd forgotten I hadn't used these bigger towers for a while, so, and we're sticking with the angular stuff. Like, I'm alright with using the odd circular element, but I don't want circular towers in this area because that'll just suddenly make it Disney. He says, looking at that circular turret right there. Well, it's kind of more angular. Did you notice the gap? I will fill it in. Yeah, there's a gap in the roof, yeah, on the pea green building. So yeah, here's the solution to the roofing issue. Wait for it. Problem solved. Nice. I mean, it's all slightly off. Everything's not quite there. Because, as I say, I've just lacked a little bit of spark for this park, which rhymed. I may well come back and do another pass of detail over everything. We'll see how it goes. I think it might help to just jump to one of the other areas. Like, to dive over to air and do some crazy terraforming, because I've got some cool ideas for coasters up there. I think, though, the next episode, because we're about to run out of time, we will probably try to finish off these buildings. I might do a few of them off camera because it gets a bit repetitive seeing the same old jazz. And I'm either going to then leap to another area, or we're going to start work on the twin coasters on the big hill behind this here. The only reason I'm reluctant to dive straight to that is I built so far away from the entrance here for this area that there's a lot of space that I'm going to have to fill in over time. So the Earth Zone is suddenly much bigger than I expected it to be. The others, because they don't require so much terraforming, apart from air, can be a little closer to the entrance, so we can fill out the park a bit more naturally rather than this sort of, separated island kind of thing. So yeah, I've realised that actually I haven't recorded a POV for the coaster. It may be because subconsciously I realised that it's disgustingly detailed, like very, very, very boring, and is a dull coaster all round, but everybody wants a point of view from the coaster, right? So I think I'll just strap it on the end of this video with no commentary and a bit of sound effects and stuff. And with that in mind, I'm going to say thanks for watching. If you did, that's very cool of you. Please hit the like or subscribe button, because we have no idea whether or not actually watching these things until you do that. And whether it's worth me doing this or not. Yeah, if you enjoy this stuff, do come back for more. Kindness Gaming does loads of other games as well. We're in Overwatch at the moment, quite a lot, obviously. Star Citizen has come across our radar recently, and Battlefield 1, for those who can afford it, has begun to surface on the channel as well. So if people come and hit the like or subscribe button or whatever, we know when you hit it, so we know if it was because you liked that particular video, and we'll do more of that particular video. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have no idea what you want, if any of you want anything at all. So yeah, yeah, don't forget, stick around for the POV, but I'm going to start to wind things down here, finishing off this disgusting building. Like, I like the architectural style, and I think if I just change the wall colours, it'll be alright, but otherwise that's cool. Look at how many people we got in the park, by the way. It breaks 1,000. It totally breaks 1,000. There's like 2 rides to go on. There's 1,000 people walking around hoping that they'll get a place. Yeah, so yeah, hope you enjoyed it. There'll be links to the other YouTubers below that I mentioned, and thank you for watching.